I think I want you back in the party.
Well, if it isn't the savior, what do you need? Well then, let's go. If you're gonna teach me the wonders of the world, it's not gonna happen here.
Alright. Sorry, Kills in Shadow, but we finished the Beastman's continent area, and Siren seems awfully effective. I mean, yeah, I don't have a ton of reason to use Kills in Shadow aside from just being a tough character that can go on the front lines. They're not my tank, and they just punch people for the most part. Siren's got crazy abilities where she can just do crazy area of effect things all over the entire map while she's fighting. She hasn't been in the party for a while. How many levels does she have? Oh, only 3 points. I guess it hasn't been that long. That's odd. I thought she was automatically acquiring her songs, but she seems to have stopped. These last 3 I think I have to buy manually. Like, I can put points into them to buy them. And I think it's worth it, because the last one is dual vocalization. She can sing 2 songs at once. Through her mastery of her vocal potential, and with the aid of her magic, Siren gets the ability to sing 2 songs simultaneously. That seems incredibly effective. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. I don't even know how that works. Yep, there they are. So now I can select 2 songs at once. Like, for example, an offensive one and a defensive one. Or maybe just 2 offensive ones and just make an absolute mess of things. Sure. That's an option too. Oh, I'm gonna have to revise all of her spells because it's been so long since she's last been in the party. Let's give her points. She has 3 points to spend. I was going into spell strength and magic defense. That makes sense. Let's go. That's 2 points there. She should go for defense or accuracy. Spell cooldowns. Let's go for different defense types. There we go. Okay. So I've updated Siren's spells a bit. She has lightning, ice, and fire spells right now, with those 3 elements being one of each I have 2 variations of each right now. She does one direct single target attack that bounces. I gave her bouncing attacks, and then I gave her 3 cone attacks. And so, like, that's the 2 variations basically. We'll see how that turns out. I'm back here because I have 2 spellcasters in my party, and a lot of people should be ready to learn lore. I think it's from this character. If I can. Yay, lore. At least for now. There we go. I should have waited a moment longer before doing this, huh? Crap. Now she has 90 lore. Alright, so that means... yeah, I can do a little bit of bonus power. No, I can't. I can do something. Range is probably a bit much for those ones. Cooldowns a little bit? Crap. What minor variation can I add to these spells to make them slightly better? I guess cooldowns is the way to go. Okay. There's a few of these now. Let's see, can I make this one slightly better? There we go. Okay, so these ones are getting cooldowns, and the cones are getting slightly more power than they had before. The cones are augmented with power and radius to increase their reach. Range doesn't seem as worth it for the other projectiles because they already start off with a good amount of range. There we go. So now our cone spells have bonus damage and bonus range. That could make a mess. She should be fun to use. And are they sorted at all? I can fix that a little bit. There we go. Projectile cone, projectile cone, projectile cone. Let's do lightning first. There we go. Lightning, ice, fire, projectile cone, projectile cone, projectile cone. Good. A lot to keep track of. Okay, so my library actually had a reward for me. They've made progress with the research, got me the Sigil of Focused Rain accent. This scroll contains a magical accent which reduces the area of effect, but increases the number of projectiles of a Chaotic Descent spell. Cool, Chaotic Descent, that one type of spell that nobody in my party uses. Ah. So now it's over here. Oh Jesus, there's so many of these now. So it only works for Chaotic Descent. So like lightning, I think, is one. Is that lightning? No, there. Chaotic Descent. Yep, Focused Rain. Projectiles, so that's a 6-meter radius, 10 projectiles, 3-meter radius, 15 projectiles. So just tons of chaotic focus damage in one spot. Technically, Landry could use it. It just would involve removing one of his current spells, which is kind of a bummer. But it might not be a terrible idea. The problem is that he's not good at casting these elements. Yeah, he'd be doing something he's not used to doing at all, which is kind of a bummer. Let's see. Maybe, I mean, stone could be fun because nobody else uses stone, so at least he'd be using something new. Pierce damage. Focused Rain. That's 125, he can do that. 15 projectiles in one area. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, let's have some fun. I'll assign it over Titan's Touch. There we go. Now that we've got Surge of Glory, I find myself significantly less likely to use Titan's Touch, and it's also a duplicate of another character's skill. So, Jaws of the Earth could be fun. He may not have particularly good spell casting with certain types, but if he's the only person with enough lore to do these really rare spells, maybe he should do it. Maybe I'll even do that over Polished Arms, just give him Surge of Glory and a bunch of healing skills, but then otherwise have him call down hell on people. Could be. Let's see. Chaotic Descent, Acid Rain. This is Atrophy. Let's see. Everyone in the area becomes poisoned. Is there a reason? It seems like increasing the number of projectiles here wouldn't actually help, because they're just gonna get poisoned. I don't think you can stack poison. I'm looking for specifically the elements that the other spellcaster in the party can't use to add some variety. Unfortunately, we're somewhat mixed here, and there's no Chaotic Descent helpful spell, necessarily. Oh well, might as well let him call down lightning, I guess. That's always fun. Focused Rain. Just shock damage everywhere. That could be fun, right? Let's make a goddamn mess. Hey Lantry, you want to be scary? I bet you've been waiting for this. Oh right, this is the new throwing weapon trainer I just hired. But then I couldn't get here because I was forced to do story for a bit. Hail, Fatebinder, and welcome back to your spire. I must say, the view up here is quite impressive. The soldier scratches the back of his head and shrugs. I never thought I'd see the day where I greeted an agent of Tunon so happily. But then I never thought I'd see the top of a spire either, so I guess we're all about breaking from tradition these days. I am sure that Tunon has filled your head with all sorts of lessons, and the details would probably scare me half to death. But we need you in peak form, and you need every means of defending yourself at your disposal. What do you say? Interested in some training? On top of your training. And throwing weapons. Boom. Now up to 80 out of 150 on training. There we go. Alright, everyone's gotten as much training done as they can. Siren and Barrack continue to be notably ahead of the rest of the party in experience. Alright, let's see about some further upgrades for my characters. First off, main character's weapons maxed out. How about his chest piece? Give him one more armor. And Blade and Mark responded during that. Kid, if I haven't said it before, I'll say it now. I'm going to enjoy killing you. Can't wait for the execution order. I'll be anticipating your arrival at the court. Don't snuff the lights. Blade and Mark. Archon of Shadows and Court Blade. He's so nice. I like him. He's gonna murder me in the face. Alright, so that chest piece I've been using ever since Lethian's Crossing is now of, what's it called? Masterwork quality? On top of the weapon. Siren could do with upgrades, potentially. She has crappy equipment, right? That's like cheap and easy to upgrade. Yeah. Give her a bit of an upgrade at the very least. Let's see, what's left of you? We could max out your chest piece, giving you another armor, I think. Making you just all the more horrifyingly hard to take down. Or we could focus on the lower quality other pieces of your gear that would cost a bit less. Actually, not really. For only half an armor, the chest piece is actually probably the first thing that should get priority here. Yeah, There we go. So now he's got his chest piece is now masterwork quality. So as good as that's gonna get. Should I go for the shield? Yeah, we're actually out of upgrade materials for him at this point. That's just how it goes. That's what we've been able to amass so far. So we're probably gonna stop it here. So what did Siren require? Yeah, she actually requires different materials, so I can keep upgrading her. On top of the benefit it already has. Let's go for that, actually. There we go. Might as well make this money worth something, right? So now she has an epic chest piece. This is the one that has an effect. That's just that's a relatively minor one, but the main thing is just to give her a decent chunk of armor, because she's just going to be doing AoE in the middle of the enemy forces, so that helps her stick things out. Lantry is still really vulnerable, all things considered, but he just doesn't get attacked. For the most part, he might get attacked now if he's doing offensive spells. That actually may even be a mistake to give him those. We'll see. That's what saving is for. If it all goes to shit, I could just load my save, remove those spells that turned out to be a bad idea, and continue. Well, isn't this neat? The way of getting +1 might from a main character, you can reforge the arm of Cairn. This fragment of Cairn's body has been imbued with arcane strength. It takes from 2 might to 3 might. He uses one of these nice iron rings, unfortunately, but I mean, at some point the game ends, right? Might as well just start getting busy with these things. Your recruits have begun crafting. So what kind of weight is that going to be, is what I wonder. Oh. It only makes progress when I gain experience. Shit. Well, how much game is left? That's the concern. And they took it away. Maybe I don't want to bother with that then. I don't really want to be without the item is the problem. So I don't think I want to go for the reforged arm of Cairn, because I don't really want to give up the item for some unknown amount of time, especially since I can't tell how much game is left or how long that's going to take, so I'm iffy about that. So instead, we'll do something more optional. Pride of the Forgotten. This is a good barrack shield. It means that when he's at the final third of his health, damage taken is cut in half, which is a great crutch to have as your tank character. So let's forge that. Mostly because it's not going to take an item off my characters while it's forging, and so it'll be a nice reward if it gets finished, but if it doesn't, well, I'm not crippled in the meantime. So now that'll be in progress instead. Right, I had to load, so Blade of Mark's message is back. So now that should be going. Yep. Time average, so we'll see when that gets done. Meanwhile, the library is slowly getting more sigils over time, which is how I got that other one we had a moment ago, which I'm now using on Lantry. Alright, cool. Well, as of right now, I would say that our expected progression is more or less on pause. As far as just, you know, slowly clearing out all the locations the way we were presented with in the first place. Instead, it appears that now we choose one of 3 places to go next. Either go to meet Tunon, the Voices, or Graven Ash. And I would say that the payoff of this whole court storyline is the most anticipated on my part. So let's go there. Hopefully something happens. We'll see. I don't really know what to expect from this ordeal, but we'll make our way there. Face Tunon's judgment, the game says. That's intimidating a little bit. Oh, right. Party configuration. Back to this one that makes a little bit more sense for the setup. There we go. You want her near the beginning, near the middle, because she's doing AoE, but you don't want her in the very, very front, because she is definitely not the tank. But oftentimes, because of story, you often don't get to actually enter your formations for fights to begin with. People are rather grouped for this, aren't they? Only two Scarlet Chorus and 3 disfavored, huh? This is an outrage. We demand to be heard. This decree is not subject to deliberation. The officer will escort you all out. I think he said that there's no more hearings today or something like that a second ago. I wasn't looking at him at first, because I was looking at my characters.
Fatebinder, Thank you for answering my summons. This could very well be the defining hour of the conquest.
I'm going to bow.
I first want to make it clear why we've assembled today. After the collapse of Vendrian's Well and the start of the Civil War, it became clear to me that there must have been some great fault on the part of the Archons. We come together to root out the source of our troubles and determine which of the Archons has sown more chaos during the war.
I think the answer to that question's obvious, Adjudicator. Giving voice to it here is just but a formality to confirm what we already know. Tunon turns to aim what you could only assume is a stern look. He refocuses back onto you with cool stoicism.
Much has happened since I dispatched you on that mission. With Kairos' mandate that only one Archon may rule the tiers, the verdict is now more important than ever. We cannot allow this conquest to descend into total anarchy. You expressed your support for the Scarlet Chorus at the start of the Civil War, and it would seem your loyalties are consistent with those claims. Does that sound accurate?
The Scarlet Chorus makes for a strange ally, but I've learned much from them. Bloodmulch glances up from inspecting its gore-flaked cuticles to regard you.
So you voice no claim of devotion, only their useful function. This is interesting to note. In your professional and objective opinion, which of the two Archons is guilty of sowing the most chaos in the tiers?
I mean, I would like to say both, but I don't think that's going to happen, right? The quest itself said which one Archon. And if I say both, I feel like that's going to also end in a moment where... If I say both, aren't they just going to think, like, you're trying to get rid of all the Archons so you can rule? Haha, I'm onto you. Yeah. I think I have to pick one. No, I think I especially have to pick one because they don't... He even phrases it that way. He doesn't even say which one is guilty, like which is the one that's the only guilty one. He's asking which one's worse. And it has to be the voices of Nerat, because they're fucking... The Scarlet Chorus is crazy. They just kill everything and break everything. They actively attack things that are already loyal to us, and in the case of... They steal knowledge they're not supposed to have in the case of the Silent Archive, and they attack people that are actually supposed to be already on our team in the case of the Forgebound. People that were already working for Kairos' forces. Like, they're just... The fuck? But the only people that this disfavored attack as far as loyalty goes has just been the Scarlet Chorus, but that's because the two of them are warring with each other, which makes a little more sense. But also, I'm just pissed off at the voices, and I would love to take them out. So, the voices of Nerat, Archon of Secrets.
Very well. It comes as little surprise that you would turn your back on the voices of Nerat. He is not known for inspiring loyalty. The Archon of Secrets is a force of terror in Kairos' army. Now we shall learn if he's a liability as well.
I would slay this villain myself if... Bloodmulch glances up and remembers himself in Tunon's presence. That is, if I had the court's authority, mighty Tunon.
In accordance to Kairos' legal custom, you will state the crimes against the Archon and offer up your evidence. The court will weigh your claims on their merits. I would encourage you to make as many claims as possible. Bringing charges against an Archon is no small matter. They are not accountable to Kairos' laws with the same rigidity as an average citizen, so it may be more difficult to justify their guilt.
Understood. I won't withhold any legitimate claims from the court.
Provided that you have the evidence to back them, of course. To make a claim lacking evidence will only harm your case in the court's eyes. Is this understood?
Yes, I'll back up my accusations with hard facts. Rogulis is here. You no doubt recall the categories of infraction to which Archons must be held liable. They are sedition, incompetence, war crimes, and the hoarding of forbidden knowledge. Rogulis nods at you. It is not every day that we are called upon to determine the guilt of on such a scale. Tread lightly. Sedition, incompetence, war crimes, and the hoarding of forbidden knowledge. Well, I have an obvious one for that one.
Then we are ready to begin. State your claims, Fatebinder. You may proceed at your own pace.
Let's see. I accuse this Archon is guilty of hoarding forbidden knowledge. A difficult truth to bring to light. The fact remains that Kairos is the keeper of wisdom across Terratus, and there are avenues of study denied us under her immutable law. If the Archon of Secrets treats this conquest as an opportunity to pillage forbidden knowledge toward his own ends, then it is worth this court's attention. That's basically all he does. So of course he has. Make your case, Fatebinder. The censor sought to claim the silent archives for the voices of Nerat. Kairos proclaimed the Edict of Fire for a good reason. The sages would not relinquish their dangerous knowledge, claiming the silent archive is an obvious transgression of the Overlord's authority. There's no telling how many recruits were exposed to dangerous lore, and will require immediate execution. I wouldn't worry over much, Great Adjudicator. I am sure the censor picked only the most dim and illiterate swine for the task, not what you'd call bookish types. Unless you can personally vouch for every single recruit who entered the library, it will be up to the court's discretion to decide the magnitude of guilt. Callio nods up to Tunon. Can you voice further evidence that the Archon hoarded forbidden knowledge? I have submitted enough evidence for this charge, Your Honor. Then unless there is anything further, let us return to the matter of other charges. Incompetence, sedition, and vile. I'm afraid of clicking on the wrong thing because I don't want it to damage my case, but I didn't exactly keep my notes open. I didn't think I'd be quizzed on my own quest log. I thought I would have access to everything. Maybe it doesn't actually matter that much. I don't know. I have a lot of evidence. Let's see. Sedition. Sedition's a good one. Harshan Bronze was selling, that's the right act, right? Yeah. Incompetence is being an idiot and doing shitty things, and of course, is war crimes. Although, at the very least, going after the Forgebound. Figuring out what category some of the stuff is a little iffy. Well, I saved before this, so I can always try again, I guess, if that's what it comes down to. Maybe, if I feel like doing that. I think the Harkan Bronze selling weapons to the enemy is sedition, though. So let's try that. I accuse the Archon of sedition most foul. Sedition. No matter to weigh against an Archon. No small matter to weigh against an Archon. But if you feel the voices of Nerat has colluded with the enemy, then have on. Well, that made it pretty clear then. Good. Present your case, Fatebinder. Under the voices' orders, Harshan Bronze smuggled iron weapons to the Vendrian Guard. Then the Archon of Secrets' treachery runs deeper than even I imagined. I fear this news harms the very foundation of our offensive. Thank you for delivering it to our attention. I have no more claims for sedition, Your Honor. Okay, so I had at least 6 things listed in the quest log, and only 2 of them have come up so far. So while I'm foggy on which ones are going to be which, I think I have evidence to actually do here. I was worried that I needed to argue evidence for the individual charges, but I think what they just mean, well, no, these 4 things are the charges, but the things I found that I'm accusing him of are actually the evidence for these charges. I was thinking of those 6 things as 6 things to accuse him of, but I'm accusing him of these 4 crimes and using those 6 things as evidence for them. So I think I just need to click on all these, actually. The Archon is guilty of incompetence, Your Honor. The voices of Nerat has suffered charges of incompetence in the past, but always proved himself a capable leader and brilliant strategist. I'm curious if your evidence will prove otherwise. Go on, Fatebinder, the court's attention is yours. Siren started a cult devoted to worshipping her in Lethian's Crossing, causing chaos in the region and hampering the war effort. What? How does this reflect on the voices of Nerat? Siren's flights or fancy are hardly new. If people are blamed every time Siren did something she wasn't supposed to, Kairos wouldn't have an army anymore. I would watch your tongue if I were you, worm. It's not your best interest to disparage an Archon of Tunan's court while she's standing in front of you. Well, shit. I thought this was... Oh, wait. Right, they're going after, the person disparaging them was the member of the Chanters. The court observes the actions of all who participate here, Mr. Siren. Blood Mulch will be censored for his outbursts if he is unable to control himself. You are not on trial here, and I will remind all present to consider what they say in my presence carefully. Ah, shit. So I've made a mistake here. Shit. Yeah, you're right. I mixed up some of the details there. Siren was doing that stuff while the disfavored were in control of the place, so if anything, this would be evidence against the disfavored in that they're not actually controlling what's going on in their own place. But yeah, this was not a good thing to bring up. Blood Mulch is correct, Fatebinder. Siren's actions in and of themselves do not represent incompetence in the part of Voices of Nerat. Her job was to recruit for the Scarlet Chorus. Her inability to direct the dedication of her followers from herself to Nerat is on her, not him. What further evidence do you have to support this claim? Alright, let's do some arguing then. I can say that law states that Archon is responsible for his own vassals. The Voices of Nerat cannot claim Siren was free to do whatever she wanted without having to answer for it. Subterfuge says that have the Scarlet Chorus not assigned blame to Ash and the disfavored for perceived sins of Cairn? Is it not the same? Should an Archon not answer for the actions of someone in their charge? Lore makes the most sense because I'm making legal arguments, although Subterfuge is basically making the same argument here. Let's see. Yeah, let's go with lore, as I usually do. The law states that an Archon is responsible for his own vassals. The Voices of Nerat cannot claim Siren was free to do whatever she wanted without having to answer for it. I will not stand here and listen while my name is slandered by that worm. She points to Blood Mulch. And this presumptive Archon, I am not on trial here. Siren, we are presenting evidence against the Voices of Nerat so that he will be executed. This is no time to protest your innocence. Siren's eyes widen and a smile briefly plays the corner of her lips. Oh, yes. It's true. Nerat specifically told me to gather some of those followers and keep them for myself. It told me that we had to be careful, because if anyone found out we were trying to destabilize the Forgebound to undermine the disfavored, it could end badly for both of us. She turns to you and nods quickly. Tunon remains silent for a moment. It does not suit someone of such a high station to craft stories for their own ends. However, given that you are an Archon and understand the gravity of the charges leveled against the Voices in Nerat, we trust you respect the sanctity of this court and will accept your testimony, and assume the enthusiasm with which you present it is merely excitement at participating in these proceedings. Oh, that's a good time to bring Siren back in the party, huh? Tunon nods. The Voices of Nerat has failed to properly control his subordinates, causing the destabilization of a region very important in arming Kairos' army. This claim will be added to the list of charges against him. So based on the same logic, I should be able to do the same statement against the censor, right? It's another one of his soldiers doing shitty things. At the burning library, the censor twisted her mission into a sick game. Mighty Tunon, I was under the impression that an Archon could direct their forces as they saw fit, and that a game was as good as an expedition if it gets the job done. Not when valuable wartime resources are at stake, and the Archon stood to lose troops for needless entertainment. Overruled. Seems like I'm benefiting from my large favor status, apparently, even if there's just as much wrath. Kairos takes the knowledge of the Vellum Citadel quite seriously, as do I. If one of the Voices soldiers reduced their orders to a source of amusement, that reflects poorly on the Archon. And I am finished arguing for incompetence, Your Honor. Alright. I'm sure I have vile acts to do, right? Shit. Let's give it a shot. The Archon has perpetuated vile acts during the campaign. I accuse him of war crimes. That has to be the easiest one, right? He's a monster, basically. At least the Forgebound or something, right? The Voices of Nerat has a tendency to interpret Kairos' laws as he desires, but I hope this practice hasn't spun out of control. Tell me of these war crimes, Fatebinder. Ooh, tell me this better freaking work, right? I've been mad at... This is the first thing that really pissed me off in this game, was when I was forced to sacrifice the Forge-bound Master. So if I can make him pay for that, that'd feel great. The voices in Nerat wanted the Forge-bound Master taken from Lethian's Crossing. The Forge-bound are under my care, and no other Archon has any right to dictate their assignments, their keeping, or their welfare. This is a slight upon the very campaign. It undermines our ability to arm our forces. I'm sure that the voices only wanted to look after Master Zinnia's safety. The blood mulch trails off his tune and pins him on the spot with a gaze. Statement redacted. Also, really, her safety. She's impaled on a stick somewhere now. Do any other war crimes come to mind? I've exhausted my evidence on war crimes, Your Honor. Very well. Have you another charge to levy against the Archon? I have made my case to the best of my abilities, Your Honor.
Very well. I have weighed your evidence against the charges. The Court of Tunon the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, and Counsel to Kairos the Overlord finds the voices of Nerat guilty of sowing chaos, flaunting his authority, and using a time of war to advance his own twisted ambition. The sentence is death.
What mockery of a process is this? The charges are all fabrications against my master, and I won't hear of it. The Court of Tunon has ruled, you overright pustule. I suggest you hold your tongue. In accordance with Kairos' laws, the court headsman will deliver the verdict and its consequences to our former colleague. I summon Blade and Mark to appear. Tunon bangs his gavel on the floor. Oh shit. Is Blade and Mark still gonna try to kill me? Hi. There he is. Shadows billow and flare ominously, thicker than blood and deathly, seeping and gnashing, eating at the throne room from the farthest edges in, closer and closer, creeping still until finally, for a single held breath, even the air goes black, and the light has been swallowed. And then there in the light, and then there is light again, and Blade and Mark, the Archon assassin, standing before you, shrouded in shades and daggers and death, and with white teeth flashing in his mouth as he laughs. Kid, adjudicator. He regards you each, eyes two coals that burn as he speaks. And who will this blade be cutting today, the usual or someone new? You're to execute the Archon of Secrets, the voices of Nerat. A brow raised, the assassin flicks his gaze at Tunon. Been a while since I snuffed an Archon. Could be a tall order, might take me longer than last time. He smiles, but it's a chilling look, something from a nightmare. Unless maybe the kid wants to take a stab at it. I mean, I had the chance to kill him the whole time. I kind of want to enjoy just knowing that he gets destroyed by the Justice Sword. I'll leave it to your expertise. You are the court's blade, after all. And I want to stick to the way that things are supposed to work around here, in case perhaps I get the chance to, you know, actually not betray this group and stick with this group. I don't know if that's an option. The assassin shrugs with his offhanded, unconcerned way. He snaps you a passing wry smile, as if to say it's no skin off his back, then turns to the adjudicator fully, utterly, and wholly dismissive of you. Go about your assignment, headsman. Trouble the court no longer with your displays of your bravado, and be quick to return with the guilty party. He will abide here until you return. Or we will. As you command, adjudicator. So must I enact. He bows low for the Archon of Justice, back strained. He cranes his face to you, face a hard mask as he stabs you with one last withering stare. Then the floor splits with a scream of shadows, a black ingress carving through tapestry and marble and ground, sibilating through time and space, a snake striking at an Archon, and Blade and Mark disappears. The adjudicator turns to attention to the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus petitioners. Even through his stoic mask, the intensity of his gaze is evident. I paused for a moment there because I I thought they were trying to say turn his attention to, but turn to attention to might technically make sense. What can I do for you, mighty Tunon? Blood Mulch winces and takes a cautious step back. Given the court's findings, I judge you guilty by association with the voices of Nerat. As he perpetuated his crimes, you had the audacity to represent the Scarlet Chorus in this hall of law. Tunon regards you. What of his fate, student? You proved the voice's guilt. His servant is yours to dispense with as you see fit. You can force him to serve the court, or you can just kill him. Yeah, let's try to keep making the Tunon more powerful. So he should be stripped of rank and made to serve the court, as I've tried to do a few times now. As fair and compromising as ever, Tunon nods. Nunaval, escort this one from the court. The time for discipline and reintegration will come after our business is concluded. Tunon seems to continually be happy with my general behavior. I'm surprised that I haven't gotten any favor just from successfully taking down the Scarlet Chorus, though. I did my job, basically, and that has not led to any spike of favor from him. Patience, student. Blade and Mark approaches anon. The Archon of Shadows is as swift as he is deadly. Tunon nods in approval. That was fast. He's still alive, by the way? With the swift, jarringly shrill hiss of shadows, the court's infamous assassin cuts from a swath of darkness, coalescing faster than the eye can follow into the form of a man, an Archon, dragging a thrashing, swearing, and snarling second Archon with him. And now there are 5 Archons in one room. Seriously, this is kind of a big deal. We just decided, hey, this is a war of the Archons, whoever wins, wins, and every single Archon of the entire war or conflict, like everyone involved in this power struggle, is currently in this room except Graven Ash. Blade and Mark hauls a red-soaked, excessively dagger-struck voices of Nerat forward onto his hands and knees, and spotting you, grins coldly. His own teeth tinged with dark clots. You notice his signature red-painted mask gleams a darker, wetter shade in places, dribbling down the sides of his face and neck and pooling from other deeper wounds to mix with the shadows on the floor, and he clutches a shattered arm to his chest. Patches of his clothing and skin are singed in places, and he snaps with 2 fingers a burnt lock from the back of his hair. Damn near lost my eyebrows. He waggles them, as if to make sure they're still there. Hey! This is actually a good sign. Apparently Blade and Mark is now injured, which could be good news, because they might try to kill me no matter what I say, and if that's the case, then I've weakened one Archon and the other simultaneously by turning them against each other, so this is actually working out perfectly, as much as I can up until now. No, not like this. We were so close. His legs bound by shadowy tendrils, the voices of Nerat writhes in agony, his body contorting and folding in ways not possible, where there solid flesh and bone beneath his rags. Our memories! Don't leave us! No, come back! We can't face this alone! The Archon's hands dart around his body, trying to cover the numerous rips in the clothes oozing green, luminescent energy. So he's actually losing chunks of his memories and his knowledge and his personality. He sighs, likely wearied from the fight, but managing instead to simply sound put out, his eyes cut like heated flames into the Spymaster. Don't complain like you didn't see this coming. Didn't I warn you? If the kid wasn't your death, I surely would be. Let's see. I think this is a bad time to start kicking. No, yeah, let's get a little bit of it in. You were mistaken to think you could use me, Nerat. You! The accusation hits your ears in a dozen different voices. We suspected this day would come, but did not think you so craven, so despicable, so morally stunted that you would turn on such a dear, dear friend as us. Oh, fuck you. The Archon's head begins to turn. The sounds of screams and creaking metal fill the court. The screams fall silent, and a single voice, the tired tenor of a frail aging man, speaks. You had best hope Bladed Mark can slay me for good. Otherwise I will find you. A black secretion, heavier than smoke but softer than water, roils from the Archon of Shadows. The assassin of unknown centuries and untold kills. He racks forward. Suddenly, gasping a silent, shuddering breath as his power billows from him, tangible and consuming, suffocating until it has crept from him enough to choke at another. It, his executioner's embrace, is a burgeoning blot of nothingness, an expanse of endless shade that twists and shuffles, flares and snaps, and swallows both substance and light as it slowly enshrouds the howling voices of Nerat. Then, even sound is consumed, and there is nothing but a darkness where the Archon had kneeled. When, with a clench of Mark's fist, the shadow sifts again into him. Not even a trace of blood remains.
No! Not like this! We were so close!
With that unpleasant business out of the way, we change course to another serious matter. One that puts into question your conduct as a member of Kairos' loyal followers.
You have made quite a name of yourself, Fatebinder. Stories of your deeds have spread through the tiers, and all of them have reached this court. Some actions have consequences. We will see what your actions have wrought.
The court has its own charges to present, and invites you to answer for yourself.